So a question that I get all the time is, why do we have the Village Church Institute? In order to tell that story, let me just tell you briefly my personal story. I came to faith in college through a campus ministry. Somebody shared the gospel with me. I spent the next several years engaged in campus ministry, was passionate about evangelism, was passionate about sharing the gospel, but I never really felt equipped to read my Bible well or to learn theology in some of the deeper areas of discipleship. So I went to my pastor as I was feeling called to go into ministry. I wanted to be equipped for ministry. I wanted my calling to be mirrored with an equipping for ministry. And I asked him, how do I be equipped for ministry? And his response, though a good response, wasn't what I was expecting to hear. I was expecting him to say, I have a program or a way that I can show you to make you into a pastor, to make you into a disciple maker. And instead he said, you need to go to Bible college or you need to go to seminary. Now, while I'm grateful for his answer, while I'm grateful for Bible colleges and seminaries, I was stunned that I had to leave the church in order to lead within the church. But I did, and I went and I spent several years receiving a wonderful theological education that I praise God for, and I'm grateful for those institutions. But my time in those institutions taught me. It was the men and women, the professors who taught me that the primary domain, the primary place for theology to happen is within the context of the church. They taught me that it was now my responsibility to take what I was learning in Bible college and seminary back to the context of the local church. And one of the reasons that's absolutely imperative for American evangelicalism right now is for 1,600 years, the church housed theology within the context of the church. But over the last 300 or 400 years, we basically punted on our responsibility to make disciples. And we said, why don't we let the parachurch ministries, the nonprofit organizations, the universities and the seminaries ultimately equip people for ministry, not the church. But we're facing some unprecedented challenges as it relates to the future of theological education in America. So it's absolutely imperative for local churches to be taking their own responsibility of making disciples within the context of the church. So that's why the Village has the Village Church Institute. While we want to send students to seminary to receive the highest possible theological education that we can, we're actually more committed to them receiving that kind of an education inside our own walls, because we think that's actually going to produce healthier disciples and ultimately a healthier church. So you might be thinking to yourself, that's just not an option for me, JT. We don't have that kind of budget. We don't have that kind of staff. We are thin. I'm not telling you that you need to create something exactly like what we've created here in the Institute, but you must be committed to equipping the saints for the work of ministry. So I do want you to ask yourself the question, how are you multiplying yourself? How are you teaching people the Bible? How are you creating a disciple who's going to make other disciples? For us, the Village Church Institute is one of our answers to that question.